every single competitive scene will have its competitors who break the boundaries and redefine what greatness looks like. From basketball, football, and even Pokemon, there are just some players so dominant and creative, it makes us reconsider the game we play on a fundamental level. Today, we will be honoring the titans who have made up the best, format after format, game after game. Today, I present to you the top 10 greatest competitive Pokemon players of all time. Backwards. You see, any reasonable list will always have to have the 10-time regional champion, 2-time national champion, and 2016 world champion Wolf Glick at the very top. There is no argument you can make in the current state of competitive Pokemon that any other player can belong here, and honestly, it'll probably stay like that for quite a bit. Wolfie absolutely has the greatest longevity of any player, winning the first event he'd ever played back in 2011. Since then, Wolfie would go on to win 9 more regionals, 2 internationals, and some other events such as the Players' Cup, and of course, most famously, the 2016 World Championship, where his dominance shined, blasting through competition on the way to his coveted World Champion title. This wouldn't even be the first time Wolfie was in the World Championship Finals. Remember this point later. Honestly, I don't think I'm going to have very many arguments when it comes to this placement. At the number 2 slot, Rizzo takes it quite easily in my opinion. From the years 2010, 2011, and 2012, Ray would win every single World Championships, even taking down Wolfie in the 2012 World Championship Finals. With easily the greatest 3 years in the game of any player, a lot of Ray's time after this would be put towards other things such as casting and analysis. Ray's consistency would span all the way to the 2023 season, where Ray was unfortunately unable to compete for a chance to play in the World Championships due to software issues outside of his control. Ray cements himself as number 2 pretty easily in my opinion, and because of that, this is when it's going to get interesting. At number 3 I have
coming from Japan, Naoto Mitsubishi!
With a top 8 finish in the 2022 World Championships, a semifinals finish in the 2015 World Championships, and most famously a dominant win in the 2019 Pokemon World Championships, Naoto continues the list of world champions. Naoto is a case of the Japanese competitive circuit generally getting far fewer events than their American and European counterparts. However, with amazing placements in the Japanese National Championships, Naoto feels more like an underrated pick than he really should be. To put into perspective, if Naoto is showing up at your tournament, more likely than not, one of those top 8 slots just closed off. At number 4, I have the world champion Eduardo Cunha. Edu was the first, and more than likely will also be the last player to ever win a World Championships undefeated, sweeping the 2022 Pokemon World Championships without dropping a set. That's right, he beat every single player on his way to the World Championship victory. This wouldn't be the first dominant World Championship he had either. At the 2016 Pokemon World Championships, the same one that Wolfie would go on to win, Eduardo would also attain an extremely solid 4th place finish. With a further international and regional win, I feel confident that Eduardo belongs in pretty much every single top 5. To close out the top 5, I'm going to give it to the most dominant player of the Sun and Moon era, Paul Ruiz.
Wake up, world, because Paul Ruiz is your first ever Latin American World Champion!
With a 3rd place finish in the 2017 Pokemon World Championships, Paul Ruiz would upgrade that finish into a 1st place finish the next year. He would claim a modest 76th the following year, and with a multitude of special events and regional finishes, Paul Ruiz can pretty much always be seen in the top tables ever since then. Paul Ruiz is an incredibly talented player that goes underrated far too often. And by putting him at number 5, here's my way of saying respect the king. At the number 6 slot, I'm going to take Sejun Park. And many lists will have Sejun Park in the top 5. However, on my list, Sejun barely misses it, and I hope I can explain that. Sejun had a monster 4-year run. Starting with a 2nd place finish in the Senior World Championships, he would upgrade that to a back-to-back top 8 finish in the Masters Division. And his infamous 2014 World Championship title with none other than Rizzo would single-handedly make him a legend. And as a fun fact, Sejun would compete in a qualifying round that included the entirety of Korea and had a single slot in it. This singular slot encompassed all age divisions. Now, Sejun is barely cut from my top 5 due to his playtime towards VGC sharply declining after this. You know, if I was considering all Pokemon, this would easily be the number 1 pick. However, with a VGC only list, I can only put this top 6. On this list, it feels wrong to put Sejun above players who would have similar stretches historically and carry on to achieve a lot towards the VGC scene. At the number 7 slot, give me the American legend himself, Paul Chua. Honestly, for me, this is a really easy pick, with results stretching nearly a decade. Paul Chua is the owner of the 2nd most regional championship wins at 6, only behind Wolfie. He would win an international in the 2023 season at the European International Championships. And he would also string together multiple high-placing Worlds finishes, his highest being the top 4 in the 2022 Pokemon World Championships. Paul's longevity and consistency easily carries it to number 7, with the only thing currently keeping him above a higher placement being the World Champions above him. Paul takes a comfortable number 7 on my list. At number 8, I'm going to put Marco Fierro, with the shortest career on the list so far. As the only player with 3 international champion titles, multiple regional wins, and an extensive list of Worlds placements, I know I can justify this pick. Previously mentioned, Marco is the only player currently with 3 international titles, and since aging up into the Masters Division in the 2019 season, he has gotten a top 32 in the World Championships in the 2019 season, a top 64 in the 2022 season, and back-to-back top 16 placements in the most recent 2 World Championships. With regional titles under his belt, I honestly think this is a case similar to Jokic in the NBA, where both will get much higher on a lot of lists further into their career. Currently though, we'll just have to wait for greatness to take its course. At the 9th place spot, none other than Hifumi Kimura takes it. A back-to-back Japan national winner, a placement in the world's top 32, a top 16, and the finalist of the 2019 Pokemon World Championships, the same one Naoto at number 3 would go on to win. Hifumi's back-to-back national wins go completely untalked about when, for context, this is the only way Japanese players can qualify for the World Championships, meaning the objective strongest regions, strongest players are forced through a singular tournament to decide the status of the World Championships. Due to Hifumi generally having a much shorter career than the rest of the players above him, Hifumi, like Marco, could very likely break much higher into the list further into his career. Before I introduce the number 10 slot, I want to give some honorable mentions. World and national champion Arashi Mati is an extremely valid candidate for top 10. His dominance towards the early days of VGC are extremely impressive, and his far above average placements after the fact cement him as one of the greatest of all time for sure. Just shy of top 10 on my list. Joyu X9, like Marco and Hifumi, simply has a case of not enough data so far. Beginning his VGC career in the 2019 season, Joe has had a far shorter come up than honestly the rest of the list, and we are likely still seeing him play at his peak right now. With 2 regionals under his belt, multiple national semis placements, and a solid world championship run, Joe could be a contender for the top 10 in the very near future. James Beck also barely misses the top 10, boasting back-to-back 3rd place placements at the World Championships. As a national and multiple-time regional champion, there is definitely a valid argument to be made here. My only reasoning was, I couldn't justify Beck over anyone specifically in the top 10. Victor Medina, who I'm going to compare to Victor Wembanyama, isn't exactly top 10 material yet, but he's approaching quite quickly. Like Wembanyama, we are in amazement of this guy's play. It's just kind of hard to justify when both only have 2 big years on the court. Gabriel Agati also barely missed the list, And honestly, my justification for this was, without an extremely dominant Worlds, it feels hard to justify over anyone else on the list. And finally, at the number 10 slot, Emilio Forbes barely makes the cut for the top 10 greatest players of all time. With 3 regional wins in the modern era of VGC, a 2019 19th place finish in the World Championships, a top 16 finish in the 2023 World Championships, and of course, his World Championship finals in 2018. Emilio makes the list due to his sheer dominance in the field. 3 amazing Worlds finishes, backed by 3 regionals, and an extensive list of regional top placements. Honestly, the only thing missing currently is an international level event that Emilio can surely attain if this is something he attempts. And that's my list for top 10 greatest VGC players of all time. Thank you everyone for watching so much. Thanks for so much love in the last video. If you stuck around this far, leave a like and a sub so the algorithm knows. Thanks y'all.